Hello, happy Christmas, happy Boxing Day, all of the other. Kova, how are you? You good?
Good. Just finished off the traditional Boxing Day lamb vindaloo here.
Lovely. I love that. The traditional vindaloo that every household has.
Absolutely.
Yeah, love it. Well, cheers to you. Here's a glass of bubbly. So cheers to you.
Cheers.
And let's get straight into it. Welcome everybody in the chat. Hope you are well. Please, before you do anything, smash that. Oh, can you hear? Sorry, bad feedback there. Smash that like button. Smash the like button. Tottenham Hotspur, Kova, are back. The Premier League is back. The league is back, and so is our style of play.
Our way of playing, isn't it?
So is our way of playing. Absolutely diabolical for an hour, maybe.
I think it was about 55 minutes where I was completely raging, 2-0 down, and I'm thinking, why am I watching this? And then goal out of nowhere. It's just what we do. But I'm not going to celebrate coming back for a 2-2 draw. It's pissing points away as far as I'm concerned.
Mate, how often we said this? Let's be fair now. In the last 2-3 months, we've now gone 2-0 down to Brentford. We've gone 2-0 down to Bournemouth. We've gone 2-0 down to Newcastle. 2-0 down to Liverpool. 2-0 down to Man United. Right? 2-0 down to Nottingham Forest in the Cup. Mate, it is... I'm sorry. I'm at the stage now where I can't keep hearing, Kova, that it's not Conte. I just do not believe that this can keep happening and not be worked on the training ground to do something different.
Yeah, I totally agree. We've said it so many times. If your defence is that poor, then why put all the pressure on them by sitting back so much? Fortunately for us today, Brentford started to do that. So it eased the pressure. But you got the feeling every time they got the ball, every attack they launched, you're sort of clenching up a little bit, aren't you? As
For sure.
You just fear for it. I think it was just before half time? I think they had that breakaway goal that was disallowed for offside.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I had the feeling it was offside. I think most of us did.
I thought it was.
But then you never quite knew. So it was a relief when you see the flag go up eventually. I mean, that would have could that change things as well? 2-0 up half time. Perhaps they would have got a third anyway. It's just horrible, isn't it? You're relying on a comeback. Why?
It's just, there's two ways to look at this, Kova, right? So you get a lot of people that will come on and go, oh, I keep hearing this stupid phrase of mentality monsters. The two ways of looking at it. One, you've got a good mentality that you can come back from behind. Two, it's why are we always going behind? For me, if the players had this wonderful mentality that apparently Conte's drilled into them, you don't go 2-0 down or 1-0 down this regularly. And I believe this is, if we look at our fixtures, Kova, let's see if we can remember this together. So if we look at our fixtures, so we went 2-0 down to Brentford, right? We went 1-0 down to Leeds, if I'm not wrong. We went 2-0 down to Forest, 2-0 down to Liverpool, 1-0 down against Marseille, 2-0 down to Bournemouth, 1-0 down to Sporting Lisbon, 2-0 down to Newcastle. This is in a row, by the way. 2-0 down to Man United. And the only game where we didn't go behind in the last, 10 games was Everton at home.
There's the way we do things, isn't it? If it's a big team, we aren't going to pull it back. We're going to get a draw at best.
Right.
But we most often lose those games. It's not a viable way of doing things. Nobody is successful playing football like this. Nobody.
It's disgusting. Listen, I get it, right? We're terrible at the back. I get it. We've had this discussion a number of times. For me, I thought today, again, was the perfect opportunity to not play wing-backs. You've got Romero's not there. Davis, for whatever reason, wasn't fully fit or was on the bench. Why not just go with Longley and Dyer or whatever you want to do? He played Tanganga. I thought Tanganga and Dyer were absolutely diabolical. I thought they were
that's the way I saw him as well. Longley, I thought he was okay. Quality cross, one of the goals. But the rest of it, Dyer, the usual catastrophic mistake that ends up with a goal. How often can one player keep doing that and still get praise from so many people? I'll just give up on it. Tanganga, oh my God, he's just
shocking player.
He's just
terrible
not good
player.
enough. There's not even like hope it's going to turn around with him. He is just not good enough. He doesn't read the game. He can't even, he doesn't even set himself for making the tackle or the header. It's just, it's like this hopeful, full-blooded effort at doing something. Hope for the best. He's got to move on, hasn't he?
This comment for me is quite apt, Coover, in a way. So when we talk about, as soon as we go away from Conte's tactics, we actually look like a team. And by the way, how good were Brentford's pressing? Now, a lot to be said for the first part of this, because I feel that when we go out in a game and we play how Conte wants us to, we look awful. All of a sudden, when the shackles are off and you're losing 1-0 or 2-0, isn't it amazing how Perisic sees more of the ball? Kulu sees more of the ball. Suddenly, Basuma and Højbjerg control the game. This is why, for me, I put this, and I know people I put this all on Conte, and for me, this is why I don't want him at this club. It is painful to watch this week in, week out. It's not fun.
I agree. I mean, I've got no problem saying it, Conte. I'm not bothered. I'm absolutely intolerant of this sort of bullshit football. Always will be. So I prefer to see us pebble dash in the opponent's goal. It's all about attack, excitement for me. People will say, "Oh, that doesn't work." This doesn't work. We're proving it now. What we were hanging on to fourth. Are we going to be fourth at the end of the day? If United win, we're not anymore, are we?
No.
They got Villa.
We will be. We will be. We're 4 points ahead of Man United, but they've got 2 games over us. But I think they're playing.
Oh yeah, if they win their game in hand, and that'll be all right.
I mean, the thing for me, so let me just put an alert on that game. I know people in the chat will let us know anyway. But there's some 3 o'clock kickoffs coming up. We've got Palace, Everton, Leicester, and Southampton. Oh, Man United aren't playing today. I don't know what I was even thinking of.
Leicester, Newcastle.
Leicester, Newcastle, Everton, Wolves, Palace, Fulham, and Southampton, Brighton. And then you've got Villa, Liverpool, a chance for Liverpool to close the gap on us, and Arsenal, West Ham. If Arsenal beat West Ham, they go 8 point clear at the top, and they go 10 points clear.
10 points clear of us. Yeah, amazing how badly they're falling away, isn't it?
But again, sorry, of course. Look, again, this shows Conte has changed the mentality. What, to a team that goes 2-0 down every single game? That changing mentality for me, Coover, is go out there, start how we finish games. Right? Because we blame the defence, and don't get me wrong, Coover, we know the defence is poor, right? I don't think any Spurs fan will argue that. But it's not just the defence. In the first half, every time we got the ball in midfield or forward areas, we couldn't string 3 passes together. It didn't look like there was a pattern of play. We go 2-0 down, all of a sudden, we're all over them. It's so draining as a fan.
Even if you do go with a defensive mindset, surely the primary requisite for that is to bloody defend, isn't it? We don't do that. All we do is don't attack and concede goals.
How about this, Coover? Nicola's got a great point. We may as well just start 2-0 down against Villa and only play 45 minutes.
Yeah, just stay in the dressing room. Let them pick a number they want for the first half.
The thing for me is you're always going to have fans that want to find the positives, and that's great. But the thing for me, Coover, is the whole, it's a sign of a good team when you're not playing well, but you still don't lose. Now, I agree with that when it's every now and then. But what we're seeing is it's Groundhog Day every single game. And fans like this guy who don't have a clue about football, it's just literally, we didn't give up. Oh, God. Of course we shouldn't give up.
The phrase about, sign of a good team to not lose when you're playing badly is great until you get to the point where you are playing badly every bloody week.
Every week.
At which case, the results do drop away. And guess what's happened to us? The results have dropped. We've dropped from being joint top or close point behind Arsenal. Could be 10 points behind at the end of the day today. we keep dropping points. It will keep happening. I do not see this turning around. There's no mentality change. The mentality change is going from a team that used to attack, play good football, and win a lot of games, to one that couldn't play at all, to one that tries to do nothing but defend for 45 minutes and leaks goals while doing it. What sort of mentality is that? But
Coover, this is the thing. I don't get this. Like, Pipes, sorry, mate. I like you a lot, but when we're saying this is all on ENIC, we can't really blame Conte. Hang on, just quickly. Welcome, Pete. I'll bring you in a second, my man. When we say this is all on ENIC, though, can't really blame Conte. I'm sorry. You're talking to someone here, I think 3 people now in this chat, who are all very much ENIC out, right? But also, I can acknowledge that, yes, I hate ENIC, but I can blame this style of play week in, week out on this manager because it happens every single week. Now, Pete, before I come to you with this is what you get. It's Conte's fault he has Doherty, Tanganga, Dyer, Longley, right? I'm not talking about when we concede goals, Pete. We're going to concede goals. Every club does. What I'm talking about is you've got Basuma, Højbjerg, Perisic, Kane, Kulusevski, Son, all out on the pitch. But yet we only concentrate on the defenders. Why is the football so bad when we get into the middle of the park and up front if it's all on the defenders?
The way he plays, the football he plays.
Oh, you're very quiet, mate.
Can't hear you, mate.
All right, hang on. Let me try and sort this out. Can't find the other thing.
No, it's still quiet. Oh, shall I answer that while Pete's sorting that out?
You go, Pete. Sort your mic out.
I think the obvious thing to say to any talk like that is, well, haven't you heard the phrase "play to your strengths"?
Right.
If you're that bad at the back,
yeah,
why play out from the back and put yourself under pressure immediately?
Absolutely.
To me, that's stupid. You'd get the ball forwards. Your forwards, we got world-class forwards there. Well, debate about world-class or some of us doesn't matter. We got good forwards, no matter what.
Yeah.
So get the ball that end of the pitch. Look to support them. Keep the pressure on up that end of the pitch. Your defence isn't constantly under the cosh. Mm-hmm. We just don't do it. We just invite the other team to crack us under pressure, which we always do. Yeah. It deliberately give yourself a mountain to climb. What was it, Football Manager on challenge mode? You just don't do it. We're not going to win anything, quite clearly. So we're just subjecting the fans and the team to 45 minutes of absolute crap in almost every game to start with, and see if we can claw it back. It's become some sort of sick game, hasn't it? It's not a football game anymore. It's like this war of attrition. So if you can put up with the worst of the worst, maybe you get something out at the end of it. I just think this is dreadful to watch.
I agree.
Again, I mean, we got a couple of goals today, but that's down to the quality of the forwards when they're allowed to. The team's got allowed to go forward or starts ignoring the plan.
I mean, a lot of people in the chat, Pete,
can you hear me now?
That's better.
It's better. Yeah.
Well, I can't find it.
A lot of people in the chat saying, "Oh, I can't believe you're putting all the blame on Conte." I mean, people don't listen. I can't stand these owners, but the owners don't make us go 2-0 down every week, right? There are teams with a lot worse players than us that don't go 2-0, 1-0 down every single week. Isn't that right? I mean, Pete, is that right? And how much of what we're watching is down to Conte versus ENIC? Nice, easy question.
Well, ENIC don't pick the team, do they? I mean, they supply the team, but the team is better than what it is doing. We can't be every week we go 2-0 down. It's ENIC's fault all the time. So after the third time we're going 2-0 down, you'd expect the manager at least to go, right, I need to do something different here. I can't keep having this.
Right.
And these are to lesser teams as well. It's not like we're going 2-0 down to top teams every week. It's our mindset.
If we only play for half a game every week, shouldn't fans be getting half-price tickets?
Yeah, you'll be lucky, mate.
Yeah, I know.
but this is the thing, right? It's
for me, the virus half price, mate. Let alone fucking anything else.
For me, it's that we're not learning more than anything. It's okay. Romero's not available today, so instead of mixing it up a bit, he just puts Tanganga in there, and you're thinking Tanganga's not good enough. Go to a 4, play a 4. Why not? No, we've got to play this way of football every single game. First half we had more possession, Pete. Second half we had more possession, but it was going nowhere. It was a lot of sideways, backwards, and they sprang us. And for as bad as we are, Pete, and for as much as we get talked about the bad defence, for me, a lot of this for me stems with the way he sets up the midfield, because I think these teams cut through our midfield at will to go over the top to our defence. Would there be any merit in that?
Yeah, well, we saw it. Our midfield is shocking. And I think our biggest problem is we don't have someone who can actually get on the ball and dictate the midfield in these games, because we don't use the midfield either. It's just there for the sake of being there. We don't actually have a plan to progress through it. And I think if you have a player who gets his foot on the ball and just dictates the game a bit, passes it about, like most other teams do, a Maddison type, you don't even have to be that good, but someone who does that, then the game's completely different. And I don't want to hear crap, we ain't got Bentancur, because if Bentancur weren't playing, then if Bentancur was playing, then Basuma wouldn't be. So it still would be the same two. It's the same problem, it's the same two. Quite easy to bypass it, because normally they're split as well, because they're covering a fullback or whatever, and then the team was stinging through it. Or, as you say, as the thing done, they just went straight over the top of them. Before we just put it straight on their back three.
I mean, isn't this becoming the problem, Kuva, that we keep playing to this system that Conte wants without the players, and the same thing keeps happening. We're exposed in a midfield too, and we're not good enough with a back three because none of them are good enough on the ball to play a back three. In a back three, you need two players either side of a centre half that are very comfortable on the football, and one that can lead the line, so to speak. We haven't got any of that, but he still persists playing this way. Why? Is it stubbornness? Is he trying to prove a point? What's going on?
He's got to be. He can't be that stupid, can he? He knows people are not up to the job. He must do. He's got eyes. This is the bit I don't get. We have this narrative that goes around so often that Levy's doing a good job, Paratici's cooking, all the players are coming in, and Conte's a great manager.
Right.
How can you explain that back line? And I've heard people say, it's because Romero's missing. So one player goes missing, and suddenly you haven't got a defence. Yeah. One player goes missing like Kulusevski, suddenly we haven't got an attack. It doesn't make sense. These things do not go together. As far as I'm concerned, the way we play football most of the time, I'll send it to you before the start of the show, I find us like Stoke City, but with better players.
Yeah, Sam Allardyce, isn't it? Sam Allardyce.
Yeah.
20 football. I've been saying that for how long? Nick them on set pieces normally. Today we didn't have to do that, but it's sort of lump it in the box, try and get on the second ball, flick-ons, headers. There's no actual playing football and ripping teams up like we should be doing. It's all just lump it in there and hope for the best.
Yeah, look, again, for me, guys, it's all about football management is all about learning, right? It's all about you're paid to make decisions. Conte's decisions are the same decisions every game. That, for me, is what I find baffling. Yet, look how many fans still going, it's not his fault we keep going 2-0 down. Let me ask you this, Kuva, if this was Jose Mourinho, right now, how much shit is Jose Mourinho getting if we did this 9 games in a row with Jose Mourinho?
Plenty. He'd be screaming for his head all the time.
Right.
I don't get it. I don't find much difference in this football. They say there is clear differences between Mourinho and Conte. I'm not seeing it personally. I remember under Mourinho, we were top of the league at one point, and there were so many fans delirious about this is it, was the promised land. But when you actually looked at the football, it wasn't that great. We were grinding out some wins, and it wasn't sustainable. The only difference I'm finding between the two managers at the moment is Conte seems to be consistently a bit more lucky. Because you can't get away with this against top teams. Get outplayed for 60 minutes of the game, go a couple of goals down. We keep saying it's not sustainable. So far, he's been getting away with it. Has he?
Hang on, Kuva. Let's revisit this just really quickly. We'll come back to this point, Kuva. Azad, big up to yourself. Thanks, my man. Really good support of the channel. Please, everyone, smash the like button. Please subscribe to the other guys as well. He said, bro, how do we need a goal? And our great manager leaves 3 defenders on instead of taking one off and bringing on another attacker. This is terrible. Conte out. Now, I'm going to come to this in a second. Just before I do, Azad, Kuva, this is what we were just saying, right? If you look at, we're saying Conte gets away with it, right? We've just named 9 games in a row. He's gone 2-0 or 1-0 down, right? The 2-0 down to Man United, we were battered. The 2-0 down to Newcastle, we lost. The 2-0 down to Liverpool, we lost. And funnily enough, all 3 of those teams will be in the top 6 come the end of the year. The 2-0 down to Bournemouth, we rescued. The 2-0 down to Brentford, we got a point from. It will be okay against these teams to do that. But this, as a footballing platform, is just quite simply not sustainable. And then Kuva, tying in what's said here, is I know he didn't have a lot of options on the bench. But, Pete, we said it in one of our WhatsApp groups tonight. When you've got 5-10 minutes to go, we're having all the game. Take off a centre-half, get Brian Hill on, get another facet to our game going forward. But instead, the subs we bring on are Davis and Sanchez. I don't get it, Kuva. I just simply do not understand what this manager has done for so many to defend him so blindly.
I'll just feel sad we didn't see Emerson Royale on the pitch as well. We would have the full ice at the back, wouldn't we?
I'm surprised he didn't come on, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get. Yeah, that's it. Fans here in the chat talking predictable. No kidding. We know how our source of goals is going to come each time now. Set pieces, corners, penalties, slinging the ball in the box from across. That's pretty much it. All the good football's out the window. Some of this is effective at times. Like I said, Stoke City were better players. Stoke were a nightmare to play against when they were up in the Premier League. It wasn't pretty though.
Isn't this dinosaur football? Yeah, Conte can never be a dinosaur.
It is for me.
Jose was a dinosaur, if you remember.
Jose if I didn't play this way. Yeah.
Jose's a dinosaur. Conte plays this way, and all of a sudden, it's the defenders. Jose had worse defenders, plus no Bentancur, plus no Basuma, no Perisic, no Kulusevski, no Romero, right? And yet he was a dinosaur. Get him out of the club. This guy.
Yeah, one thing consistent: the amount of people that say, "Yeah, Mourinho got backed, so was Conte."
Neither of them being back.
Yeah, look who came in during those times. It was nothing.
Yeah,
Fernandez.
Just quickly, by the way, was it Conte's fault Dyer decided to kick the ball out of play for no reason?
Oh.
I've got one answer to this. He plays him week in, week out. Yeah, he picks him through thick and thin. He even came out and said he could be a world-class defender. So was it Conte's fault? The actual error isn't, but this isn't the first time. So yes, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, I believe someone once, very famous, once said that is the...
Oh, yeah. The
definition of madness.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's the definition of insanity. You keep picking Dyer.
This is something I don't understand. So many times we'll hear a manager, like Mourinho said it as well, Dyer's come to be a world-class defender. Conte said it. Where are they getting this from? So many fans are saying no chance.
Do you know what makes me laugh about Dyer is most defenders get better with age. Their reading of the game gets better, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He's the opposite. He's getting worse.
Yeah.
His reading's no better. I said every time someone goes near him for a cross or a shot, all he does is the old Liam Gallagher expression, the old hands behind the back and go on, mate, put it wherever you like. I'll just stand there and let it go past me. He does it every fucking time.
Every time.
And it always leads to something. And you think, you can't, how can anyone defend that? Why does he keep getting picked? He's getting another contract for that. I know he's probably going to sign the fucking thing with his hands behind the back.
Mate, listen, as I said, if you keep playing free centre-half, this is what I think football fans need to understand from my point of view. The whole narrative of playing free centre-backs to offer more protection is flawed in so many ways. all you're doing is putting more weak players in a team. Go to a back four, have Romero and another. That means you've got one very good centre-half and somebody who's a bit shaky, but they're playing with a good centre-half. What we do is we pick 3 of them that are all shaky, and then we go, oh, well, it's not his fault, it's the defenders. Well, stop playing them.
Don't forget the point. We also then supplement it with 2 defensive midfielders ahead of them,
exactly.
and then very dodgy wing backs.
Right, again, sorry, this guy is an idiot. I'm not bitter that Jose got sacked.
Billy Bollocks.
As I said, Billy, I'm not bitter he got sacked. As I said, I don't support Jose or Conte or Poch. I support Tottenham Hotspur. But the point is this: the same fans that were screaming blue murder at Jose needing to get sacked are the ones now backing Conte when he's got better players. And yet the football, for me, hasn't improved. Guys,
the football's worse, and Jose won more. You're guaranteed more trophies with Jose than you ever will be with Conte any day of the week and on Sunday. So to treat him like that and to treat Conte like we're doing is bizarre. It always was a bizarre fucking thing from these fans. I just don't get it. It's like it's fashionable to say these things, but actually no one really believes it because the evidence don't stack up.
I agree. I mean, Kuva, what would if you were picking for the next game, Kuva? Let's assume full squad, right? Full squad. None of this who's away for the World Cup and injuries and stuff. What would you do formation wise, and what would your back 4 / back 5, whichever formation you pick, be?
I think I would go with the back 4, and I'd still have them playing as wing backs. But you'd have your central midfielder, the defensive midfielder, if you like. It could be a Højbjerg, it could be a Basuma, somebody like that. I'd give somebody like Harvey White a chance because he's a good passer of the ball. See if we can change up the midfield a little bit. We're not winning anything anyway, so let's see if we can at least improve the style. Kulusevski has to start. Kane and Sonny have to start. And we have to be getting the ball to them. Not just hopeful balls launched forward, Eric Dyer style, but actually getting up and joining the attack, playing their half of the field. So getting people that are comfortable on ball, can pass it around, and got an eye for a pass. I mean, we're missing Bentancur at the moment, but he's not the answer by himself. People like Sessegnon, Doherty, Royale, they can't do the job at wing back, so we've only got 1 wing back. We miss players without doubt, but why does it mean we have to play so slowly from the back so long? I just don't get it. We say it time and time again. It's getting almost boring to talk about it, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
We've got all these crap players at the back, but insist on playing it out from that. Don't just get the ball forward, swifter. We're lethargic. Always start that way.
Kuva, isn't this comment from Benjamin Trunt? I love that picture, by the way. This is absolutely everything which makes sense to me. Conte is nullifying the main strength of Spurs, which is the attacking 3, to play to the weakness, which is the defence, by playing 5. For me, it's obvious. For me, get Basuma. I know I sound about White, whatever. Get Basuma, Højbjerg, Bentancur as a 3. Let Bentancur and Højbjerg push and let Basuma sit back, or whatever you want to do. Kane, Son, Kulusevski, and then at least you haven't got 5 of the clowns at the back. You've only got 4 or 3 when Romero's back. I just don't. I don't understand. I just don't understand. Like his first sub, Pete, Tanganga for Sanchez. No. What is that as a sub?
Well, I thought the Mason Mount sub was the worst I've seen, and then Conte, hold my beer, I'll sort that out, and then he does that, and I didn't see the point. And bear in mind, Sanchez started getting into positions. He's being an overlap into the box and all that sort of stuff. So why not get a player who, if you're going to get him to do that, get a player who can do that, who's actually going to offer a threat in there. What was the point? I mean, Brian Hill, every time I see him lately, he looks like he's trying to do things, and then he can't get a look in for love nor money. I mean, the back 3 was quite relaxed. They weren't under tons of pressure. All they were trying to do is get the ball and get it up there as quick as possible. Put a man in midfield, and then you offer an extra option all the time. It was so obvious. You might have won the game.
I'd certainly give Jed Spence some playing time as well.
But guys, this is what you get. Guys, this is what you get. What options are there? I mean,
there's not many, but there's other options. By not trying nothing, there's no point in having a bench then. Say, well, we might as well players. You only count on if someone's injured, because you've got players that can. You got Brian Hill, who's had little cameos, and then you think, okay, let's see him, and he can't get nothing.
He don't even come on when we're not winning games anymore, Pete.
No, you know what I mean. You got Spence, who's there. Why not use him? I mean, I thought Dockett was okay today. He was Dockett. He weren't nothing great, but he weren't royal bad either. Him and Kulusevski have an understanding down there that you can build on moving forward. As I said,
by the way, guys, Newcastle are 1-up at Leicester City. Chris Wood with a penalty after 3 minutes. So, again, as it stands, Newcastle is second and have just gone 3 points above Tottenham Hotspur. Guys, this is what I mean, right? Let's use Newcastle as a case in point. Now, I'm not even going to talk about new players they've signed, Pete. I heard for years, that Fabian Schär is a terrible centre-half, right? Yet Fabian Schär's now part of the best defence in the Premier League. Willock, Longstaff, Chris Wood, Joel Linton, Almiron. All 6 of those players are playing today for Newcastle, right?
And they don't play back three. Now, the thing with this is this, right? If Spurs played those, all we'd hear is, what can Conte do with those players? So how comes Eddie Howe has taken, let's just check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of that 11 for Newcastle were there when they were bottom of the league, not winning for 13 straight games under Steve Bruce. But yet you hear with Conte, it's not his fault, it's the same players. Why can't he upskill any of them? Why can't he work on shape tactically like Eddie Howe clearly has at Newcastle? Because what Eddie Howe's done, he's gone, right, these are the players I've got. This is the way I need to play to suit these players. Conte's coming and goes, I'm only playing one way, whether I've got the players or not. And he's trying to shoehorn these players into playing that system, and they can't.
Right.
They don't. And you only got to look at the players. Look at our players. Let's be honest. It's the same as what we were saying before the World Cup. Look at the body language of these players. They don't enjoy themselves. No one's going to tell me they like what they're doing. They don't. They don't enjoy going 2-0 down every week. They don't enjoy playing this side of football. It's very regimented. You can see it in all their faces. You think, what more evidence do you want that this is not the way to proceed? If you have all the players to play this way, then there's an argument for playing it. But when you don't, and you don't have any of them, you don't have all the centre-backs. You definitely don't have the full-backs.
But look, here we go, Pete. Look, the difference is how wanted those players. You're telling me
that he buy them all, did he?
How do you know that, Darren D?
But they're already there.
Have you spoken to Eddie Howe to know which players he wanted to keep and which players he didn't? My point is this. He's making it work. He's turned Joe Linton, Willock, Longstaff. If someone had said to you a year ago, you want any of those players in a top 2 or 3 team, Coover, you'd laugh, right?
For me, the most impressive thing is the turnaround in Joe Linton, because that was one of the biggest flops of all time in the Premier League.
And a new position. And he's given him a new position. Exactly. He's not just turned his form around. He's made him a completely new position.
The ability of the player and just having the vision to change what they're currently doing.
Yeah, he spotted some attributes and gone, right, you got the attributes to be a centre midfielder, actually. And here's how you do it. And then he's running, and look at what he's doing with it. Almiron, look what he's doing. I mean, he was ripping offensive before the World Cup. It's mad how these players can do it, yet we keep making excuses for the so-called elite manager who can't seem to do any of this. He seems like he's only elite when he's got elite players. When he's not got elite players, he's clearly not elite. I don't think he's elite anyway. That's a bracket far too high for him.
And party after party's asking, do you want Howe or Conte?
I'll say Howe now.
All day long. A forward-thinking manager. A forward-thinking manager that has actually spent less money than Conte since he's been at Newcastle. A forward-thinking manager that has gone, okay, right, you're not working in that position, Joe Linton. I'll tell you where you would be good. Let's move you into here. Yeah? oh, I know you've not been very good at centre half, Shah, but I'm going to put you in a new partnership. Look how well you've done. Newcastle, by the way, have just gone 2-0 up with Miguel Almiron in the
There you go.
8th minute. This is.
I bet he's in a few dream teams, isn't he?
Yeah.
This is the thing, guys. They've had 66% of the ball in the first 8 minutes, 4 attempts at goal, and they're 2-0 up. By now, Spurs, we're not even looking at attacking. And sorry, I'm going to rant. I'm so annoyed again with Spurs. People are telling me the comparisons aren't fair. Why not? Antonio Conte picked up a team that were about 8th or 9th with Kane, with Son, right? Newcastle, he picked up a Newcastle team with what? What was it?
In Newcastle's favour. To compare us to them is we should be miles in front of them.
Absolutely, we should be. Here's the question, Kuva. If I had said to you in the summer, to any Spurs fan in the summer, will Newcastle be above us after 15, 16 games in the league table, and they'll be in the top 2?
Mm-hmm.
I would have got laughed at, wouldn't I? I would have got told, oh, we've got a much better manager, much better players. But now it's not working out. It's all the excuses as to why Conte can't do what Howe's doing.
So going back to what period in time? Start of the season or something?
Start of the season.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had Newcastle down for top 4 anyway, so I'm going to be smug instead.
Nice.
No, I can't even be smug because we're playing such shit stuff. Majority of fans definitely. I can think of some in particular said, laughing when Newcastle had won like 1 game or 2 games all season or something like that. And don't look at the point that they've only lost 1. And they are actually progressing. They're going forward. They're getting better attacking wise as well.
And they're missing players. So maximum
6 or 7 wins in a row. Is it something like that? Or 8 out of the last 9 or something? Yeah. It's a ridiculously good run they're on. Same players. And
again, I don't get this, Coover. I don't get it. We're talking about why can't we have a forward-thinking manager with a shite defence? Eddie Howe's a forward-thinking manager with defenders that were there last season as well. Don't get me wrong; they've got a few injuries at the moment to their first team defence, but he went in there immediately with that crap defence and played forward-thinking football. I don't buy this. You can't play any attractive football if you've got a bad defence.
If anything, that's the time you want to play it, to keep the ball away from the fucking defence.
Pete,
this comment. How over elite Conte I give up.
He's not elite. Why is he elite?
Themselves. Newcastle must be distraught they didn't get Conte.
Oh God, no. Yeah.
They've only got Eddie Howe who's getting them playing great stuff and higher in the table than we are. Yeah, disaster.
What I don't get with this is, Pete, take that and dissect it for me, because I think one thing I'm really keen to do on shows all the time is to dissect comments rather than we belittle them. Why is Antonio Conte elite, or why is he not elite? Why is this throwaway comment used so much, Pete? He's elite. At what? What's he elite at?
I said the same thing. Why is he elite? I don't get it. He's won he's won the league with Chelsea with an elite team. He won the league in Italy with really good players. But what has he done at Tottenham that's made him elite?
What's he ever done in Europe?
Well, yeah, and that as well. But what is it? I think these fans are too.
Even at Chelsea, he took over a team that had won the league 2 seasons before. Most of the players were still there.
Yeah, and people seem to forget quite what happened this following season. So they're just taking time. When you look at one season at Chelsea, they forget the other one. And really, you got to look at the whole across the 2. Do you know what I mean?
And this is the thing for me, guys. This is when we talk about front-footed football, defensive football, whatever. Whether we play a style of football, so I'm feeding back on someone's computer, just so you know. This comment for me, Kova. Newcastle are looking better than Spurs. They play fluid, but we play 7 defensive-minded players. Now, for me, if you're going to have the excuse that the reason we don't play on the front foot is because our defence isn't very good, so we need more defensive-minded players. If we need more defensive-minded players, why can we still not defend? Why can we still not go 2-0 down, 1-0 down every single game with the amount of defensive-minded players out on that pitch?
Yeah, there's for me, you can blame lack of talent on players. Sure, we know our defense is crap, but there's an underrated thing of what managers do, and that's supposed to be preparing the team for a match.
Right.
The very fact we go out and start so lethargically compared to almost every single team, you've got to ask what is happening with Conte and the coaching staff. Why are the players coming out like that? Because if you're telling me that that is a game plan, then Conte is definitely a crap manager.
Right.
Because nobody goes 2-0 down deliberately against Liverpool, Man United, Newcastle. You're asking for trouble and you get it. Mm-hmm. So there is something going on there for the team to consistently be like this. Is it they're all unhappy with the way the way the plan is, or they're not getting to express themselves on the pitch? There's something going on there, and it does not seem right. We are scraping through games, getting points from losing positions, never looking like we're dominating. The only time we looked even vaguely like dominating this season would have been, Leicester, because they decided to go kamikaze football.
Only for half as well. We got picked apart the first half.
That's right. They were better than us in the first half, weren't they?
Well, I mean, Pete, here's one for you. I agree with this guy so much. This is what I mean. We keep talking about the defence. I know we will, and Kuvri said at the beginning of the show, I'm not going to excuse most of the defence being poor. But now let's forget the defence. I'm now going to talk from the final 2/3 of the pitch, right? This guy says, I genuinely don't know what we do in training apart from running. I don't see any patterns of play with the ball, any desire to win the ball back. Now, the reason I say the last 2/3, Pete, is the last 2/3 of the pitch is nothing to do with how bad the defenders are at making mistakes. So Højbjerg or Bentancur or Basuma get the ball. Where's the patterns of play? Where's the pressing? Where's the passing? Why can't we retain it? For me, that's got nothing to do with the back three.
No. It breaks down because when it gets to there is when the ideas are out. It's all we know how to do is, as a fella says, is just run about and try and defend. When we get the ball in midfield, 9 to that 10, their first choice is to give it straight back to where it's come from. Or we go play back again, then we'll play back again, then we'll play back again, trying to edge the team out. But the teams ain't falling for it anymore, so they'll just go, "Well, you can do what you like with it up there. We're not going to hurt us up there." Yeah. And eventually we end up fucking doing something stupid with it ourselves, as we saw plenty of times today. When eventually they'll press, and then we'll get caught. Because as I said before, there's no one coming in, dropping in and going, right, I'll take the ball and I'll play it and then I'll move and then I'll play it again. Do you know what I mean? A player who's going to dictate the speed of the game.
Isn't it? It's hoping that Kulu and some will do something. Kuva, I've got one for you in a minute. Just before you do, Pete, I just want to bring up a point. Listen, No Ambition FC, I'm so with you on Enoch and Levy, by the way. I'm so with you on it. But this, again, how Conte is elite, Pete, because he organises teams and keeps them mentally alert for 90 minutes. I mean, I can't pick that statement apart anymore. You do it.
If that is the threshold for elite, then I think you're going to find that makes Mikel Arteta elite because they managed to do it. There's a lot of managers that are going to be called elite if that is your barometer of elite. I wouldn't say calls them mentally alert for 90 minutes because what happens to the first 45?
Right.
There's nothing mentally alert about them then.
The first bit, he organises. Well, not in the first half, we don't, do we?
No. In the second half, it's just a free-for-all, really.
I've saved a good one for Kuva, which will make him pull his hair out. I think he might know which one it is. So, Kuva, the floor is yours. We've got one of these in the chat. Welcome to Kusal.
We played forward-thinking football under Poch. One fuck all. But we got close, didn't we? And we were being entertained while we did it. Now, are we getting any closer? No. Is it more entertaining or at least the same level of entertainment? No. Right. How about improve on something that you started and is getting you close rather than go in the complete opposite direction and think that it's going to be a success? Mourinho couldn't manage it. Conte is not doing it either. We are getting giant killed in the cup competitions under Conte.
Right.
We're scraping through, and easy Champions League group. This is not working out. Again, we pissed away points today. Could be 10 points behind the bloody Gunners by the end of the evening. This is working, is it? Bring back what we had under Poch every day. It was left to fall apart because we didn't invest, didn't have new blood to the squad. Here we have new blood to sit on the bloody bench. I mean, Pochettino would have benefited if we'd bought for the bench then as well. Could have had somebody else could have come on and turn a game around. What is this bullshit? I'm just not accepting any of this absolute crap. It's just absolute bullshit. You watch rubbish football in the hope that it's going to win you something where we continue to not win games.
What I love about Cooper as well is like, if this statement is true, right, that he hasn't been back so we can't judge him, does that mean we couldn't judge Poch? We couldn't judge Redknapp? We couldn't judge AVB, Yol, Jose, Nuno? So no ambition to HFC. We can't judge any manager that plays under Lee Vanini. Is that what we're saying? Why did we sack Nuno, if that's the case? Nuno was given Brian Hill, Galini, Emerson Royal, Papa Sarr. So why are we judging Nuno? Why did we sack Nuno? Or is it we can judge him? No one's judging him on winning things. I don't think Pete and Coover and I are sitting here going, we don't rate him because he's not winning things. I'm judging him on the fact that 9 games in a row he's gone behind. I don't remember Poch ever doing that. I don't remember Jose doing that. I don't remember Nuno doing that. AVB. I don't remember Christian Gross doing that. Right? But this guy gets it. The backing he gets, Pete, is it.
It's a cult. It's a cult. It is a cult. It is some weird thing that thinking because certain outlets class him as an elite manager, as long as he's here, we're an elite club. And it's just fooling themselves. He's not an elite manager. We are not an elite club. Yeah, he does not behave like an elite manager. We don't behave like an elite club. An elite manager comes in and is flexible and adapts to what he's got to get the best out of it. Not just go, okay, well, this is how I'm playing, we'll like it or lump it, and then serve up this sort of crap. Yeah, elite managers beat Brentford. Yeah, they don't go 2-0 down every week. Yeah, they'll set up their team so they don't have to. That doesn't happen. They learn from mistakes.
Yeah,
it's all a load of crap. It's just these fans are. It's this modern day thing where you got to be obsessed with a player or a manager like a brand, like Conte brand, Son. You say anything about Son, then the Son fanboys come out, and you're like, why can't people just say it how it is? You're just kidding yourself if you think that things sticking with this manager and this type of football is going to yield results. It's not. Yeah, it's obvious. If you cannot do a team for 90 minutes a performance, you're never winning anything.
Yeah, I get it when people sort of big up the team and everything. It's a match day. Let's get a bit of positivity in there. Yeah. Go into the delusional state. Come on, we're going to stuff them. No problem with that. What I don't get is after you take a batter in or you're not doing as well as you think you should be, trying to make excuses for it. Like it's
stop making excuses. When teams with half of what we have are playing better football than we are and getting better results.
Yeah.
Explain that.
That's for the pretty football not working.
Yeah.
I think I remember a certain other team from North London went to Brentford and won, didn't they?
Exactly. Yeah. It's not just about pretty football all the time. It's about
works as well, doesn't it?
Doing what you got to do.
But guys, we were told, this is what makes me laugh, right? And this is what all the people in the chat saying, Sava, it's the owners. We know it's the owners, right? But all of the people telling me it's the players, it's the players, it's the players. So many came into my chats in the summer. So many of you came into my chats telling me, telling Coover, telling Pete, telling Henry Wright, telling Stell, telling Will, telling Iggy, Danny, you told us all. He has been backed. The only one of those 7 he didn't want was Jed Spence. He's been backed, right? You came in telling me Arsenal are rubbish. We'll finish above them. We've left them. Do you remember, Coover, the comment? We've left them in our rear view mirror. Yeah, they're crap. Man United, we've left them in our rear view mirror. Now, all of a sudden, we go behind 9 games in a row and it's He hasn't been backed. It's the players. Which one is it, Pete? How comes it changes weekly for these fans?
I don't know. You just got to accept it. This is not going to work. Just accept it. It's okay. It happens. Managers go to certain clubs and it doesn't work. Yeah. And let's be honest, Conte, before us, he went to Chelsea. Then he's been around in Italy, but he's never been to one of the big boys, the proper big boys, and he never will. There's a reason why he's at Tottenham. Elite managers, let's be honest, don't come in their peak as Conte's supposed to be. Do not come to Tottenham because they know exactly what they're going to get and exactly what they're not going to get.
And we've had this whole thing with backing the managers go on for a long time as well. Remember, Tim Sherwood had this fanatical fan group among the fans. It was he couldn't do any wrong. He was the Messiah.
And it's the same with Poch, and it's the same. But the owner is always the problem. We know that, but we're not asking to go from where we are to winning the league. Yeah, which is where these fans think that by sticking with Conte, we're going to end up. That transition, that journey is fucking miles away. Absolutely miles away. And it will not happen with these players. It will not happen with these owners. Conte is very good at getting a team that's already good and he makes it right. Let's be honest, at Chelsea, they won the league by a canter, but he had Eden Hazard. Yeah, he done a little clever move with Moses, but he still had some very, very good players. He had elite players there. At Tottenham, he's got one elite player, and that's it. That's the difference. Conte's elite when he's got elite players.
Yeah, it will as well. I mean, absolutely it will. I just think the thing for me, what I'll always say is this, right? All these people saying he's got average players. He's not got all average players. We can't say that because in the same breath that people want to tell me, let's have a look at this comment. Where is it? I saw it. He's working with average players, guys. In the same breath, week in, week out, I get told, oh my God, Bentancur's brilliant. Oh my God, Højbjerg's the Viking. Kulu's going to be World Player of the Year one day. Oh, Kane and Son are world class. Oh, Perisic has been brilliant since he came in.
We only need one or two more players to win the league as well.
Oh, Romero's an excellent centre-half. Oh, Lloris is still great. Two more, we win the league. Right? That's what I keep hearing. Yet, when we don't win a game, it's all the players are crap. All the players are average. Okay, cool. Can we please stick to one thing? Please, Tottenham as a fan base, can we stick to one thing? Either our players are average and we stop bigging them up to the point where we do, right? Or we big them up and blame the manager.
One of those points I actually agree with, and that's the we only need one or two players to win the league. I agree. One or two players in every position, though. That's the trouble.
Here we go. This channel is nothing but Conte bashing. Spurs fans weren't grateful having an elite manager like Mourinho. Now it's Conte. We don't deserve elite managers. We're a small club. This channel is nothing but Conte bashing. Let's start there. No, this channel is a Spurs-related channel. And on match day, what are we going to do? We're going to talk about the result and about the manager and about the players. Right? If you
it's
think
to be the same conversations, it's the same fucking performance.
Exactly. Now, the thing is, we weren't grateful having an elite manager like Mourinho. Now it's Conte. Right, can we stop calling managers elite? You've got to stop calling everybody elite. It's the same version of calling every player world class.
Mourinho was elite.
Mourinho was an elite football manager, right? Mourinho wasn't backed and got hounded out this club. Conte's not backed and yet is still elite. It's baffling. Guys, next game we've got Aston Villa at home.
That worries me,
after that, we've got Palace, and then we've got that stretch of 10 games where we've got City away twice, Arsenal, Chelsea, Milan twice, Wolves away, Leicester away. How important is this home game now against Villa?
For me, doesn't really matter, does it? I just don't believe we're doing anything worthwhile this season. Nothing's changing. There's some people that are sort of arguing, although they're kind of on the same page at the same time, saying that the problem at the club is Levy. Yeah, if you look at that, it's the overall arching thing that's letting this club down is the ownership. Totally agree.
Agreed.
But I disagree when people say Conte is the only way we're going to get success, because I do not believe we will ever get success under ENIC. So Conte's pointless. I'm all about just watching some football I enjoy. I don't watch that very often with Conte. That's why I want him out. I'm sure if you got in some new owners who are throwing money at the correct people to buy in for a Conte system, we probably could win something. Not happening though, not unless we get new owners. So the two things aren't exclusive. As for it being a Conte bashing channel, I'm not happy at what I watch on the field. Right. I will always bash somebody if they're preventing me from enjoying my club, enjoying my team playing football. Conte doesn't do it for me, never has done. I've got ambition, but it doesn't mean I'm going to back a manager that grinds out results for the sake of it with no backing to follow. And we're just going to be doing that for the sake of it. What's the point? It's like religiously buying the lottery ticket, saying it'll definitely come in at some point. Keep backing it.
The thing is, as well, Coover, is for me, and I think we talked about this last week, and Pete, I'll bring you in here as well. I don't want to back this manager and give him world-class defenders or whatever so that we can see more of this dreadful football. I don't. I just don't. I don't like what I see. Right? I can't help that. And if fans will tell me it's not about the style, that's great. If it's not about for you, for me, I'm at the point now, Pete, where the fact that this conversation is coming up more and more and more across our fan base tells me that we're not wrong when talking about Conte. The fact that some fans bury their head in the sand, they just want to call him elite for what he's done somewhere else, which wasn't even elite for me. Has he ever won the double? Has he ever won a treble? Has he ever won a Champions League, a Europa League? I don't know how a manager like that can be called elite. But for me, do you really want to see this guy get backed now? Not that I think Levy will back anyone, by the way, Pete. Do you really want to see this guy get backed in the hope that this turgid crap football wins or something, so that when he finally goes maybe a year and a half, 2 years down the line, we're then left with turgid players that don't play another manager's style?
No, I said the same earlier. I said it in one of our groups. I do not want him backed. It's time to pull the rug, in my opinion. All it would do is just reinforce this type of football, and it just means you might not have many individual errors because there'll be better players, but the football will still be wank. Mm-hmm. And I can't get into it, especially being it this bad. Yeah, I mean, we said it before when Mourinho was here. We'll take this. Given if we went somewhere, if we won something, but we didn't. And let's be honest, Mourinho had a far inferior squad than what Conte has. Yeah, and he had to try and get tunes out of Ndombele, Lo Celso, Dele Alli's, and all that. Right. And he couldn't, and then he got slaughtered for it. And then lo and behold, Conte comes in, can get rid of all them players and get some players. And am I saying that they're all the players he wanted, every one of them? Well, I don't think so. No, personally. But that's his job to manage upwards as well and say, do you know what? I'm not happy with what's going on. All we get is how happy he is and everything's great. But he don't want to sign a contract. Which for me, I wouldn't give him one anyway. I've said it before, I say it again. We should have dealt with this during the World Cup. First week, right, what are you doing? You staying or are you going? I'm going. I'm not going to stay. Okay, right, we'll go now. Yeah, and then we start that process.
Yeah, mate, I agree with you. Just a few comments I want to read out before I come to you, Cooper. I just think we look at football in such black and white terms sometimes as fans. I mean, let's have a look at this, right?
No, this one on screen right at the moment. I'm saying there's no point in sacking him.
What's the point in staying with him?
What it's like saying there's no point in keeping him as well. It doesn't matter, does it?
Right.
That's the point. True. No point sacking him because we won't win anything. No point keeping him because we won't win anything. If you're looking for success, forget it. We got ENIC.
I agree. Just a few comments I want to read out for. And Newcastle are about to go 3-0 up against Leicester in 30 minutes. If you want to talk about the difference in the two clubs, let's see what happens when we play Leicester there in a few weeks' time. Again, what will Conte say this time? Are they still tired? No ambition FC. Yes, we know it's always been the owners, but that doesn't mean that every manager we've had has been great and hasn't made mistakes, right? Ben, sorry, mate. I love you, dude, but this is silly. Yeah, they lost to Brentford, but Pep Guardiola's won everything in world football multiple times.
He shapes football. He shapes
are
football, Guardiola. There's a massive difference.
Huge difference. Sorry, I don't understand that at all.
You can't base that on one result.
I've never seen Pep Guardiola go behind 9 games in a row. Guys, a Chelsea fan here saying, and by the way, my brother-in-law, who is in my house at the moment, I've left all my family downstairs. My brother-in-law is a Chelsea season to get older. And he said to me when we got Conte, oh, God, you won't like him.
Yeah, my mate said the same. Geez, I work with. He's a Chelsea fan.
There's this myth that he was amazing at Chelsea and that everyone loved him at Chelsea. Every Chelsea fan I speak to didn't enjoy what he did. They didn't enjoy him at the club.
It was Eden Hazard playing the form of his life that year.
Thing is, just quickly, no ambition to HFC. When you say I give up, you've asked the question 3 or 4 times now saying he hasn't been backed, yeah? But this is the thing, and isn't it, Kuva? No Spurs manager has been backed.
Yeah.
We
literally have Conte here playing this style of football for the sake of it. It's not because it's going to earn success for us. That's all there is to it. Some people, us here, we're at the point here where we're saying ENIC means no trophies. Forget it. Right. It's not happening. So if you can't have trophies, at least have something worth watching. At least have something to get excited about. Right. Even the game today, we scored a couple of goals, and I just thought, you know what, that wasn't great, was it? It was first hour of absolute, really painstaking, absolute trash football. I was actually angry after an hour. I was thinking, I made the joke off screen that I've been doing some tidying up and recycling before the match, and I wished I'd carried on doing that because it was more fun. You just show a bit of brilliance. That's all we are now at the moment. We're a pretty bang average team, turgid football, and we just hope for a couple of moments where you can get a goal out of something and just hope for the best. Kulusevski to do something special or Kane to grab a goal. That's us.
I'm going to ask you 2 a question, right? I'm going to ask you, all I want is yes or no. I don't want to go into just yes or no. Each player I'm going to give you, right? All I keep seeing is all our players are shit. So I'm going to ask you, right? Is Hugo Lloris shit? Yes or no?
No.
Is Romero shit?
No.
No.
Is Longley shit?
No.
No.
Is Perisic shit?
No.
No.
Is Højbjerg shit?
No.
No.
Is Basuma shit?
No.
No.
Bentancur?
No.
No.
Kane?
No.
No.
Son?
No.
Kulusevski?
No.
I've just named 10 players there that could make up 10 of our 11. This has to stop. It's all the players. It's always the defenders. I've never seen, sorry, we'll move on from Conte in a minute, but I've never seen a manager at Tottenham get so much praise for the way his team played this badly. Jose was sacked for it. Conte was sacked for it. Yeah? We hated AVB for playing this type of football.
I was about to say him. You take Bale out of that AVB side. Oh, my God, we were all...
Oh, fuck me, yeah.
Exactly. Here we go. Godfather said, boys, our first 11 is better than Brentford, so I'm not hearing this. Right, again, this is what I mean, Godfather. When we went 2-0 down to Bournemouth, what, we're blaming it on our defence? You're telling me that Bournemouth, no offence, sorry if there's any Bournemouth fans in, yeah, that our 11 is worse than Bournemouth's. When we went 2-0 down to Newcastle, it was our 11 worse than Newcastle's. When we went 1-0 down to Frankfurt and 1-0 down to Sporting Lisbon, that it's too many excuses for this manager for me, right? All right, guys, let's move on from this. I want to talk about ENIC. And we keep hearing that they're not going to do anything, and we know they're not. We know how they work. We know what's going on with them. Is there any point in a protest? I'm being serious here. I keep hearing we should protest. Is there any point? Are there enough fans that will protest? And will ENIC and Levy care no matter what volume are protesting?
No.
I think the only way ENIC are going to care about the volume of protesting is when it starts hitting them in the pocket.
Right.
It's the only way.
Or a PR point of view.
Well, indirectly, that'll hit them in the pocket.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see a protest. I'd go to it if it was worth going to, but I'm not going to go to a protest, take a day off work, for example, lose a day's money, and go where there's 20 people. Yeah, unfortunately, this fan base is massively split the wrong way. Too many of them think we owe ENIC a favour because of stadium. That's all you hear about: stadium, the stadium, the stadium, the stadium, and all it is a building. It's a building. It doesn't make you a big club. It just makes you a club with a nice stadium. Let's be honest. Levy and ENIC are doing everything for the stadium, but nothing for the club. Yeah, the stadium it's even got its own fucking Twitter account to dissociate it from the club. Do you know what I mean? You look at the amount of effort that goes on for everything relating to the stadium this, stadium that. I guarantee you, some of that money from the 150 million will be paid for that new pitch they want to put in, because now it turns over faster or whatever the fuck it does. Yeah, that's where
sports venue, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah, it's to boost that asset for them to sell it, to sell the club. There's no way of boosting the club through on the pitch. It's all about the stadium. That's the only way they're making any money out of this club, when they sell it. So a protest. We see the last one. So too many fans are too bought into that, thinking, "Well, we're a big club." They fool themselves thinking we're an elite club. Oh, we got Conte, we've got the stadium, we got the training ground, we're still in the Champions League. When all that can change in a heartbeat, really, because you could be out the Champions League by the next game. Conte could be gone, and all you've got is your stadium and your training ground. But it don't make you an elite club. Arsenal had that for years. They're not an elite club anymore. Yeah, it's no guarantee to nothing. And what was the other question?
Just whether it was basically, you've answered all of it. I think I truly believe. I mean, just before I get your viewpoint on it, Kuva. Look, thank you, Lasego. Listen, I will always be honest. I've said many times I won't grow like the others because I'm honest. I think it's very easy in football to just blame one thing. And as much as I hate Ian, and Pete will tell you this. Pete's known me for many years. I was one of the original, maybe a decade ago, whatever, 15 years, I was one of the original ENIC out, Levy out, hate them, can't stand them. But I'm also an adult that can understand two things can be true at once, right? So let's put it in perspective. If I left, this is the equivalent of, if I left my Christmas dinner, right, on a table low down enough for my dog to reach it, and I left the room for 5 minutes, that's the equivalent of me blaming my dog when I get back. My dog is wrong, but I am also wrong because I left the dinner available for the dog to see it, right? So that's what I mean here. Yes, we want ENIC and Levy out, but that doesn't mean I have to just blame everything on them and not on a manager who is so clearly living on philosophies that don't work in football anymore. So Kuva,
I appreciate your what you're trying to do, Sava, but your analogy isn't a good one, because anybody that walks away from their Christmas dinner is in the wrong.
you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So Kuva, look. Again,
let's go. Let's start with the protest bit. No,
go.
I think they are worthwhile. Are they going to do anything by themselves? No.
Right.
But you've got to keep that thing going. So you've got to keep the thing, the movement going online. It's social media that's going to turn things around. Keep the likes of Brian Daigle and all those lads that go out protesting in the freezing cold. Big up to them. Please keep doing it. I'd love to join you. I simply can't do it. It's important for them to keep showing their face. That is the face of ENIC out. That you know where to go to join in with it. And when the time comes and people do get to the point where they are so pissed off, they want to join in with it. There you go. It's got a person, you've got a figurehead, you've got a way of doing it. You know where to come, go get on that online, talk to people on all the communities. It can come together overnight when the conditions are right. You've got to keep it going in the meanwhile, because if you just bury it and say, forget it, protest can't work, there's nothing to join. What are you going to do by yourself then? No, these people are going through hell for it, and they're getting an awful lot of abuse for it. But it's what they're doing is absolutely the right thing.
Cool. I agree. Yeah. I agree with you there. The thing is, what the problem we've got is for every one of us that are like that, there's 10 that will call you a fucking idiot, and there's this, and the other, and then you get the other side of it. And
it won't happen overnight, mate.
No, and the thing is,
surely there are more and more people coming around to it. And every time
but with this fan base,
I
wonder what are going to be the right conditions. Because let's be honest, I mean, Levy could turn up and shoot their mum, and half of them would still be clapping. Because you think, how much punishment does this fan base need to take over the last 20 years?
It worked with Nuno, didn't it? With the at the United game when we lost 3-0.
That was only when, but you think. That's what you need. That's what I said about PR. The only time when it's PR is when his name is actually in the frame, when people are standing up and rattling in him. That's when you may get something. But are we going to get the reaction we want?
Look at this. I mean, Kuxel, when you're saying I've been in account for 15 years and done fuck all about it, I don't deserve success. What can I do,
about it
on my own, Kuxel? This is my whole point. Right.
If you're anti-ENIC, you're up against a billionaire football club owner.
Right.
He's got a hell of a lot of ammunition if he gets into a fight with you. You're going to lose. That's what I was saying. You're going to lose by yourself. You need it to become a movement, and it needs to grow. It's not going to happen overnight because as I said,
this is bollocks. If you want Conte out, then ENIC have won again. No.
Yeah. This is a human. This is a human that is incapable of understanding two things can be right at the same time. Right? I don't like Conte's football. That has nothing to do with the wider picture of me despising ENIC. Now, let me break this down for you, Kuxel. Even if they backed him, I don't want to watch his fossil football. I don't want to watch his team play football. It is boring. It is crap. I want the owners to back a manager that will put a plan and a process in place, that has a history of staying at clubs. Yeah, that has a history of evolving players. Because like we just said earlier, Coover and Pete, I read them 10 players that start regularly in our first 11, and not one of them was shit. But yet, the thing is from fans like you is that Conte's football is bad because of the players. Is it? Coover and I get told weekly that 2 players fix the whole thing. Coover, not only do 2 players fix the whole thing, 2 players win us the league title, right? So how can it be that? How can the players be that shit? But there are fans believing all we need is a right back and a centre back. Our fan base makes no sense. No sense at all. Yeah? Kusel, do me a favour before I go to Coover. You put in the chat, tell me what I can do, me, Richard Sava, one person, to get ENIC out. Please tell me and I'll do it. I'll do it. Pete, you know I'll do it. This is one thing that Coover, you know, like I've always agreed with Stel on the ENIC out piece, right? Where Stel and I have differed on the kind of protest pieces. Cool, I'll come and protest. But for me, the protests will only hurt ENIC when the finance stops. And for me, every game is packed. Every game is sold out. Merchandise is bought. The club shop is packed. There's queues coming out every game. The bars are packed. The boxing is packed. The concerts are packed. We can't do anything until ENIC want to go. Because for me, I can't ever see a day when you get more than 5,000 that want to protest.
You'd be lucky to get that. Not 5,000. The last one was, 15? And one of them had been in the club shop.
Right. This is the point, Coover, isn't it? How long can you see it taking to the point where even 5,000 protest, and even that 5,000, Coover, I bet you would go to the game after they protested.
Oh yeah, well, if you got to see, it's like certain people saying, "Oh, don't renew your season ticket." I don't agree with that. Hang on to it; it's gold dust because at some point, ENIC has to go because it's their objective is to make the money, and we keep saying it. If they're not drawing dividends, then their idea is to inflate the value of the club and sell it on. There is a day when it's going to happen. It has to. Otherwise, they're not doing what their objective is, to make money. And if somebody tells me that Levy's a Spurs fan or something, they've got interest of the football club at heart, I'll say bullshit. Look at all the other clubs they've owned. Didn't seem too Spurs related at that point. Didn't seem so they were singing the praises of Harry Kane while they're at Rangers, do they? No, it's bullshit. It's well, it would have been wrong time anyway, but doesn't matter. Not the point. To get in this delusional state where you think they're going to change things around, change their MO to from going from making money to going for trophies, which can be costly. Let's face it, it can be costly, and you have to maintain your standards. We don't. We just wing it and do whatever the cheap options are constantly. Mm-hmm. So all the protesting, it has to come to the same conclusion. It's got to hurt them in the pocket. We're saying it now on this stream. It's got to come together, and it's a slow process. It's a difficult process, but it doesn't mean you let go of it.
Or at the very least, it's got to create traction in the media. You know, like you see these things where, I think, was it at Charlton when they threw a load of tennis balls on the pitch with the owners on it? Them sort of things. Do you know what I mean? That the media pick up on, people flying planes and all that. That's the sort of stuff that the media will pick up.
You summed it up. The best thing I've heard this show. Sorry, Cooper said some great things as well, but the best thing I've heard so far on the show is for every one of us. Sorry, Cooper. Sorry. But for every one of us that feels this way, for every one of us that despises ENIC, won't pay, Conte, blah, blah, right? There's 10 that don't feel that way. So we can sit here in chats and go, back him, get rid of ENIC until they back Conte. I can assure you all of this. ENIC and Levy will not go until ENIC and Levy want to go.
I firmly believe that. But I think a lot of negative PR may help expedite that process, but that's a long way from coming. I think as a bare minimum, your protests have to achieve that, where it's actually getting attention in the media. I mean, you look at Spurs, Man United have got the old, is it the green and gold scarf movement or whatever it is? You know that fan group that gets quite a lot of traction. Arsenal have got the black scarf movement, where they've gone mental enough times. And you look at the protest they did over the Super League, where there was thousands of them, and that was before the game, but they let their feelings known. They was all over gaff, flares going off and climbing on everything and all that sort of shit. Yeah. Man United fans went ape shit. Yeah, they're now in that process. We don't even have a fan group that represents that movement. Do you know what I mean? It's too fragmented.
Let me ask you both a question. Let's use just a small portion of our fan base. Let's use every Spurs YouTube channel by way of example, right? I'm not worried about saying anybody else's name, right? How many Spurs YouTube channels do you know that are full on? I'm not talking about, we might say something bad about him every now and then. How many YouTube channels are full on ENIC out? I can name 3.
This one.
I can name 3 that will go on about it all the time, right? And those 3 are Tottenham Away.
Yeah, Henry Wright,
and myself. That will constantly beat the drum of owners out. You go on to Last Word on Spurs. They won't say it because Sky Sports, because they've got all these deals with Sky Sports. We are Tottenham TV, not allowed to say it. This is the problem. You've got a fan base of people where what we know is the main issue. Conte for me is a side issue, right? The next manager.
Yeah, there'll be another one.
These are side issues, right? These are side issues.
There's a few channels around, but none of them like your big channels that would really make a difference. So it's like the Spurswasians and Shellside Spurs and Bob Spur, Tottenham on Tour.
Fair enough, but you know what I mean. Okay, so I shouldn't have put it like that one. I wasn't having a go at any of those channels, by the way. Like, I love Tottenham Away's passion for getting Conte and ENIC out. Love it. Love that passion. Love Henry's passion for getting it out. But guys, for this to happen, I can guarantee if we put together a protest, I can guarantee it. We could set the date 1st of February. I don't know. I can guarantee you less than 1,000 people would show up because enough people don't care. Enough people are happy with the stadium. They are happy with top 4. They are happy with the concerts and the NFL and all of this kind of stuff. So it's
well, you
Go
see
on.
it, especially in these fans' accounts as well. All these fan accounts where they're talking about players' tattoos and fucking all getting excited whenever there's an event at the stadiums. What do you care for that? You don't benefit out of that. The club ain't benefiting out of that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you saw it like when the NFL, when there's fucking fighter jets flying after the stadium. Where if that was for a home game for us, we'd be lucky if we got paper airplanes, let alone fucking fighter jet. Do you know what I mean? And we have to pay all that money.
I think even when we're talking about in terms of YouTube's still pretty small compared to the sort of Twitter community, isn't it?
I agree. I agree.
You go on there and you say anything. I've had many a row with people on there. I had them on the transfer deadline day. I remember I commented on one thing. I think it was a Nuno window. That last day when fans were getting excited about, so we saved 90 million on that window, and I was like, why do you care? Yeah, what benefit is that? And then I was told we can't go like Leeds. That was when the whole Barcelona thing started. We'll end up like Barcelona if we're not careful. Rah, 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 rah. And I had it all fucking day. In the end, you have to turn it off. I had to mute conversation and just leave it, because once you debate one, another 10 pop up, and it's non-stop. It's non-stop.
And Pete, to prove my point, look at this. Look at this idiotic comment. This is it. Apply this logic to ENIC. It's exactly the same, right? So if any football fan doesn't like
Conte, this can change tomorrow.
Hang on. If any football fan doesn't like Conte, it's, but we're fourth in the Champions League. Kuva, what will absolutely be said for any football fan who doesn't like ENIC and Levy? The exact same thing. Yeah,
basically.
But we're fourth and we're in the Champions League. This is the problem. This is it. ENIC have us fourth. Fourth is not winning, right? Champions League, what does it mean? We don't go and buy players for the Champions League. So Spurs ideology, what does it mean? Does that mean? Sorry, Pete, really quickly. Does that mean then that I can only not like Conte if we are 6th or 7th? Is that okay then? If we're 6th or 7th and playing this football, am I then not allowed to like him and that's acceptable, guys?
I have a feeling this is just a wind-up account anyway.
The problem is, people like this, that is just a snapshot in time. In a month, we could be 8th and we could be out of the Champions League. And then is it then he's going to turn around and say, okay, Conte out? Is he waiting for that? You can't just look at it as a snapshot in time. You got to look at the trajectory where we're going. And let's be honest, we have 20 years of evidence behind us that says exactly what this sort of road, when we're on it, where it ends up. Yeah, if you don't feel it by now, then as far as I'm concerned,
if you're not a Tottenham fan. Look at Mourinho, don't you?
Yeah, if you're not feeling this now and you don't know in your heart of hearts where this ends up, then where have you been? You're not a Tottenham fan, because that's why we're saying what we're saying now, because we know it's going to happen. It's going to happen in 6 months where we're going to have this problem where Conte's gone. What do we do now? Oh, fuck no. Then they'll start on the owners or not, because then Potter will be back and it'll be all great again. But you've got to look at the trajectory and go, well, where are we going? Is this actually going to yield anything? No. Are we going to buy top players? No. So that's a problem with the owners. And Conte said it himself, the profile player, we're going for young player that want to take home minimum wage. Do you know what I mean? You're like, well, you've had that. You've had everything that's gone on in the last 20 years. You've had everything that's gone on in the last 2 windows. At what point where do you get the belief from that we're going to go from this to actually competing at the top of the tree? Where's that coming from? Because I don't see it. It ain't going to be Conte. He's not fucking Harry Potter. You don't just click his fingers and things happen. Yeah. Even if we had Guardiola at the moment and we still had these owners and that they're doing these profiles, you still say the same thing. You enjoy the football more. Yeah. But it cannot be that because he's here, because we're in the Champions League. Well, there's no point in being in it if you're never going to do anything in it. Yeah. It's like turn up down the West End for an hour and say I went down the West End last night. I was only there an hour. I bought one fucking drink and I went home. I mean, but I was down the West End. You know, I'm a proper raver. Do you know what I mean? You've got to see something through. There's got to be a structure and a plan to what we're doing, and there's nothing.
This is the thing. I mean, just quickly, I'll read this out. Mark, I missed this earlier. Apologies. He said, Conte out. Who's next? He's magic, We'll speak about this in a bit, Mark. I think the key thing, what Pete just said there, Kova, is, it's so true as football fans. And I don't know if it's an age thing or what, but I see a lot of older fans that don't feel this as well. Like Pete said, it gets to the point where in that, that little bit of your stomach there where you go, oh, hang on, I've seen this before. And not one game, but the situation, all of the trimmings, you know where
the vibe,
it's going.
you can feel it.
You know the vibe, you know what's happening. It's the uncertainty. And then all the fans always boil back to two questions: owners or manager. For me, I've said more than that. I've said to you, Kuva, a number of times. For me, it's the whole bloody thing. If you're going to start backing people, let's put a plan in place with a manager that has a history of being somewhere for more than 3 or 4 years. Yeah. I don't care if that at this stage, if that's a project-based manager. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to back a manager that plays this style of football in the hope that this turgid style of football will leapfrog Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle. I don't want to do that. It's a short-term solution that won't happen anyway.
For me, state of play at this club was summed up. We did the show on it the other day about the Conte's press release when he was talking about, and this should really have got alarm bells ringing in some people if they haven't been already. Conte said, I am not allowed to say what I think the club needs to do.
Exactly.
He literally cannot say it. But then people will use quotes from Conte to say what the club is doing. What point is that? He's already said he's not allowed to say what he thinks.
Right.
These are club prepared statements from him.
And we cherry pick Kuba. We cherry pick what we like what he said versus what we don't. So, for example, if he comes out, last week he came out, didn't he, and said, basically, in as many words, we will be buying young players that aren't on big salaries, right? But the people that love him didn't want to hear that bit. What they heard was, I'm happy at the club.
Yeah.
So the point is this, I said before, if he then signs that contract, those same fans can't then turn around and say, but he's not been backed. Well, hang on. Your man knew. Your man told you what his remit was. Your man told you that he was going to have to buy players of this ilk on this salary. You still thought he was good and the right man to win us trophies. Said it all along. Give Conte world-class defenders, we win trophies, maybe. Right? Tottenham will not give anybody world-class players.
No.
So it is a moot point. And
the same fans.
Now more than ever, Pete, I'll bring you in here. Now more than ever, he's not up against 1 or 2 other clubs. He's up against
just to quickly round off that bit of it before Pete speaks. I was just going to say that, reiterating the point that if Conte has made it very clear he is not allowed to say what he thinks the club needs to do, and the very next thing he says is what the club's plan is. Therefore, the club's plan is not what Conte wants. So saying back Conte means nothing because the club is not going to do it.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I was going to say. Where these fans are sinking, coming at Bastonis and Guardiols and all these players, and then another manager's come out and said the club are not interested in buying these sorts of players. We've never bought them before. Right. Everything is evidence. So for me, that should be a trigger for people to say, well, hang on a minute. The so-called people sit on the fence a lot with the owners saying, why have you got him in and still pursuing that policy then? What's going on? Yeah. Why are we paying this money? Why are we paying this money? I mean, I don't go to the stadium for that reason. Yeah. But if the fans that do paying that money, why are we paying this money as fans if that is what you're doing? Because you did that at the last stadium where you charge 30, 40 quid to get in. Now you're charging $2,000 a year to get in. You're still doing it. So why are we paying the money for? What the fuck's going on? Where's his promises?
Let's continue this, Pete. Just quickly, super chat from George, who said, thank you very much, George, who said, good to hear the panel's chats, faults. Listen, we'll always be honest. What I would say is there are 245 of you in here, which is crazy for a Boxing Day, but only 85 likes. Come on, that means 2/3 of you have not pressed the like button.
Sorry, I've just seen a comment from Spurs Ideology again.
Yeah, I'll get to it in a minute, I promise. But this is the key thing. It's the key thing what you said there, Pete. Those very same fans, that want him to sign the contract after he's told you what his remit is, they're not listening. They're not understanding. They think he's going to be back. They truly believe it. And we've said from day one, he's not getting backed. Not to what we want, right? He's not. We know that.
Not to what he wants, which is why he's not interested in saying. That's why I say I'm not interested in. There's not time to talk about a contract now because it's painfully obvious that he does not want to stay. And I don't want him to stay, and I can't blame him for not wanting to stay because at the end of the day, we're incompatible. The way the owners run the club are incompatible with what they want to do. But what they are doing is bringing in someone like Conte, where all these fans get all excited thinking this makes us an elite club, yet behaving like they've always behaved. All it is another wall over the eyes, of the fans. Before it was Poch, then it was a stadium. Now it's Conte. All these tricks, they're just like Jedi mind tricks. Yeah, we are going to be a big club one day. We need these things. And at one point, these fans have to turn around and say, "Hang on a minute, where's the evidence to what you're saying? How long is this going to take?" Because every other man just says something. Notice Conte also keeps using words like politics. Politics at the club, not the policy at the club, the politics at the club. So that tells you what's going on at the club. It means that Paratici, I don't rate him either, but clearly don't have much say in what goes on. There's a profile he has to buy for. And there's a profile Conte's going to get as a player, and it's the same as always been. So at what point do the fans turn around, forget about Conte, it could be anyone at the moment, but turn around and say, well, why have we moved stadium? Why have we done? Why have we built this stadium, paying this money to compete? You said it needed to be competing with what? What are we? Are we doing it to compete for fourth? Because we were doing that anyway. There's very open-ended statements the club make, but at some point, these groups of fans that sit on the fence with the owners have got to say, hang on a minute, how long is this going on for where you're charging all this money, getting all this other revenue streams coming in? We've seen it. Apparently, it's going to be world record or club record revenues announced, I don't mean you start going out buying Mbappe, but all this money coming in, yet the policy is the same. It's the same no matter what competition we're in. It's the same no matter what fucking stadium we're in. This month we've had White Hart Lane, Wembley, and this stadium, same process, The Conference, Europa League, Champions League, same fucking policy. And Jose, Conte, Poch, whoever, same policy.
Just quickly, I'm going to come to you, Kuva, because I can see you chomping at the bit for this comment, which I'm going to give you your platform. Just quickly.
I'm glad I don't get mentioned in these comments, by the way. I'm all right. I get a free pass.
you don't come on enough. The more you come on, the more you get hated. Oh, well. It's just like a rite of passage. Just before I hand over to Kuva, one thing I would say, guys, and I don't want to respond to this, I'm just making a point here, is all I keep hearing is give him world-class defenders, give him this, give him that. At the beginning of the season, I remember being told that Gabriel of Arsenal was shit, that Ben White at Arsenal was shit, right? That Tommy Asu was shit, that Zinchenko was a Man City reject. But when Arsenal tonight probably go 8 points clear at the top of the league, it will be, but they backed him. Yeah. This is what makes me laugh. So Conte needs world-class defenders, but the defenders that our fans said was shit at top of the league, I need it to make sense. If ever, in all the time I've known you, if ever there was a time for you to shine, it was at this absolute embarrassment of a comment that says, the trouble with fans like Sava and Kuva is they are you ready? Impatient 22, 30 years later. If we keep swapping and changing managers every 18 months, we are not going to see progression. Calling Conte out is pointless. Kuva, over to you.
Let's see. Let's start off with impatient. I've been waiting for an FA Cup for 30 years. I've been waiting all my life to see a league title. I'm 51 now. How patient do I have to be? Do I have to live to 250? I think I'm a little bit out of order there. As for swapping and changing the managers every 18 months, who does that at this club? I'm pretty sure I don't. I'm pretty sure the history is with our owners that do that every 18 months. Where is this impatient from Sava and myself bringing the club down? No, the owners do that. You know, the people that actually own it, the clue's there in the title. Owners, you know, it's their club. They choose who's in charge. They hire and fire the managers. Live by the sword, die by the sword. They own the club. They take responsibility. So if you're going to talk about impatience, have a look at them.
Okay, Pete, would you like a little bit of time to shine? Because you have been dug out now. You have been. I'm not bothered about being dug out because I think people like Luca don't have two of these. They don't have two of these. They've not listened to a word. Pete, please take this away for me.
I just see him. He made a comment a minute ago saying back the manager. Same bloke about 2 minutes ago. Sort of agreeing with me, but I think he misunderstood. Yeah, just back the manager for now and going on your ownership. Now, while I agree with some of that, for me, this manager isn't the hill to die on for that. Yeah, because the manager isn't committed to the cause. So what is the point? Right. Yeah, the football isn't worth it. Yeah, if the football was decent enough and we just needed some players, yeah, and the manager had a history of playing decent football, then you can back them, and then that's when you go in. For me, Conte isn't the one to do that. Yeah, he isn't the hill to die on because he is not going to be around long enough. He never has, never will. And do I want to see this manager with his football given? So say we succeeded and we went all in on ownership and they started throwing money out. Would I want it to go on him? No, not for the. Because even at his peak with all the players that he's got at his disposal, the football is still very average at best. Yeah. You only got to ask the fans of these clubs that he's won things are. Yeah, they didn't mind when he went, thanks to the trophy, but actually it was a gritty process getting there. Yeah, so let's get a manager that we can all say, okay, let's all get behind. Yeah, who can play some football. So let's start there, play some decent football, and then go right. We had it with Poch, but unfortunately we didn't go in it with the owners. Yeah, and then it all got stale in the end. So learn from that experience and then go, right, let's try and get to that point again where we all had a manager. Let's be honest, there was a decent connection at the club between the fans, the manager and the players, and then there was the owners. Do you know what I mean? There was that connection we had between as a manager, fans and players. That between us, there was a connection, and then there was the owners on the outside. And unfortunately, that we didn't go in on them cunts like we should have done. Excuse my language on your show. But that's the time to get back to then go and do that again and learn from that mistake.
The thing is, again, this is when I just said back then, I felt a bit guilty there saying that Luca 14 didn't use two of these until I read this idiotic comment. And I will say,
wait a minute. He's just put recently, but he deleted the comment. So,
sorry. He put this. We don't need world-class defenders. We need competent defenders. Straw man argument. I didn't once suggest that Conte needed world-class defenders. You didn't hear me say that. That's you lot in the chat. You lot in the chat have been telling me that give him his world-class defense, we win things. Then, to make it even worse, look at some of these comments. Yeah? Again, like when did I ever say Dyer, Sanchez, Davis, Doherty and Cess were good enough? I don't believe I did, but I do believe Romero, Longley, Perisic, maybe trying a Jed Spence. It's not the worst players you've seen in the world. Let me bring in Eugene. How are you, my man? Are you good?
Yep, fine. Merry Christmas to all you guys. Right? Hope you're happy.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Right. I'm gonna put this very simple. Right.
Go.
Chronologically, after Poch, we got in Mourinho. Mourinho wasn't backed. He was sacked before the final. Then we were lost. Right? We had Ryan Mason. We were scrummaging around for managers. But before that, Levy came out with a statement or what called a program when he had during the Aston Villa game. He said they misspent 250 million on players. Right? We'll bring back the DNA of our great football club, the style of playing football, blah, 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 blah. Then we took 72 days. Right? We brought in Don Paratici. Right? To find us the greatest manager for Spurs. We ended up with who? Not Eddie Howe, not Fonseca, right? We ended up with Nuno. We will make you proud. Yes, we were proud for how long, right? The first 3 games, we were top of the league, right? Then, after that, it all went downhill, right? Then it was the chance. After the Manchester United game at home, we want Levy out. We want Levy out, right? What happened then? Panic mode. Who did the fans want in the summer? Antonio Conte. 2 days later, he comes in, right? We all knew what Antonio Conte's style of football was, right? We all knew, right? But Antonio Conte is the smoke and mirrors again, guys. Just look at it, right? And when he got in, we were all excited again. The Levy out movement was dead, right? To tell the truth, right? There was a Levy out movement, Hoover, remember? Right? There was one, right? I started one quietly behind the backgrounds. We were building up momentum. Brian Daigle went back to London, protested, did all the things he did in the first time. Then Bobby got sick. He went back again in December, right? But by then, Nuno was our manager. Sorry, Conte was our manager. The fire was put out. Okay? Fire was put out, right? Levy was happy again, right? Then Nuno Conte had a breakdown after the Burnley game. Remember what he said? I don't think I deserve to be here, right? He went on his rant. He went on a rant, remember? An actual rant on live, right? And after that, he was gagged. To tell the truth, right? What I see now, Conte is not staying. It doesn't matter you want him out or you want him in. He's gone, guys. He's gone. No more Conte. Who's going to come in? Big Sam, right? Deitch, right? Who do we want? To tell the truth, our fan base, right, has been divided by our owners all this while. It's a simple divide and conquer and rule kind of scenario, right? So what are we going to do? If we don't unite and stand for a single, what I call, objective that we want, we will never get it. Simple as that. I understand. Everyone has got their opinions. Everyone has got their right, but fair. But of course, the Levy out movement has always been the minority, right? And of course, there are a lot of fence-sitters. But now I see that even the fence-sitters are jumping off to another side. Simple as that, right? Guys, I'm sad. I'm an Asian, right? I'm an Asian who's a 40 over year. I've been supporting Spurs for 40 over years, right? 40 over years. I've seen the ups, I've seen the downs. I've seen us being mediocre, but play brilliant football, right? But win shit, right? My dream was broken when Poch was sacked because we had that connection with him, but our owners never backed the managers, and our owners will never back the managers. Wake up! That's all. Wake up. That's all.
I agree with everything you said, Eugene. I mean, look, let's just quickly go to a few comments. You've got Alex Kyriakou. Big up, Alex. Long time no see, my friend. We'll have a beer soon. He said, I went today. I'm sick and tired of second half FC. Spurs Yodology has said, long laser Barca reject. Why not mention Tanganga? But why would I mention a player that should never be making the pitch? That's on Conte. Conte should never pick this man, but he does. The buck stops with Levy. Okay, the buck stops with Levy. We agree. Ed has said, I just want to be
also to add to that, if the defence is the problem, how many windows have we had with not addressing that? Don't you think Conte should have been insisting on it?
Right.
Hoover, he has been. Haven't you noticed? Right? You see, during the January transfer window last season, right? Last minute FC, we got in Decky and Bentancur, and they turned our season around. We were lucky getting 4th place, not because we deserved it, it's because Arsenal fucked up. Oh, sorry, my language, right? Arsenal screwed up, and we got that, right? Right. It said it was right. Hi Pete, nice meeting you first time, right? Arsenal screwed up, and we got a spot. And the fan base went crazy. Oh, what a brilliant Conte, blah, 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 right? Now we're going to square one back again. Conte was not back in the summer. right? I think the only player Conte wanted during the summer was Perisic, and that's what he got. The rest of them, Bissouma, Richie, right? All wasn't Conte players. Richie was forced to play.
Hang on, Eugene, I agree with you. I agree, but I want to challenge it, right? I agree with you. I said all summer, like you did, we did shows together, like Kuva did, that this whole notion that all of those signings other than Spence were his, I didn't buy. But this is where it comes down to this. This is where it comes down to money versus ethics for me. Because what I'm seeing is he's not been backed. Okay, cool. If he's not been backed and if he didn't get the defenders he wanted, for me, stop coming out and saying you're happy. For me, you've got less than a year. Walk away, right? Walk
20 million euros.
Right. But Eugene.
No, why should he walk away? 20 million euros, he won't walk away. It's because, number one, right? Okay. He's been gagged. He's been gagged since the Burnley game. He already knows where he stands. If he wants to walk away, if he wanted to walk, he's not saying what he really feels.
Right.
Honestly.
Hang on. This is a very, very, very wealthy man, right? With 6 months left, 5 months left on his contract. If he truly believes he's not been given what he wants, come out and say it, right? And then we can turn around and go, right, he's not been backed. But the problem is this. The problem for me is this. When I see things written like this, right? He asked for Bastoni and got Longley. The difficulty is this. You hear this, but you also hear that he only wanted one of two centre-halves, right? And that he was willing to... Now, again, we don't know, right? Hang on. But we hear from people that he only wanted either Bastoni or... I can't remember the other... Skriniar, or whoever it was. Right.
Guardiola.
That's great. But at the end of the day, his job, right, is him and Paratici between them is, okay, those two aren't really going to happen. So now what else is there, right? That's where him and Paratici should be going, okay, we want those two, but they're not really achievable. Here's the next level down we want. Not the long lay on loan. Here's the next level down we want. Like all the players that moved in the summer. Like Sven Botman at about 35, 40 million. Yeah? Like Kim Min-jae. Like Bremer. All these players that went, like Akanji at 15 million. So many examples, right? For me, as I've said time and time again, I will respect Conte so much more when he comes out, stops talking in riddles, stops telling everyone he's happy, and says, I need this. Yeah? I think I can win trophies at Tottenham if you let me build a defence, right? But again, all I'm hearing from him is, if we can strengthen, we will. If not, I'm happy with my squad.
Sava, that's the problem is that we might not even know. It could be in his contract, right? That he has to say he's happy.
I agree. I agree with you.
He could have put it. You have to say this in your contract. You know, this. Unless he's willing to lose 20 million euros a month. Sorry, 20 million euro a year, right? A year, right? He walks out, correct? But what we are seeing now is that he's reached the stage, right? Have you not noticed today the game, right? During the first half, there was no emotional reaction from him at all. He was just like standing there away. But until that we turned up and started to score again, that's when he started shouting again. But the thing is that the question is, if he goes into what you were saying, right? I slammed the table and I'm going to a press conference and I'm going to say blah, blah, A, B, C, D about Levy, and I've been conned. I brought into this job. They didn't give me what I want, and whatever it is, there could be an inside in his clause, right? That in this contract, right? If you break this non-disclosure agreement that you have with us, right? You will have to pay us money. You never know.
Yeah, no, sure. I get it. I get it. But
Eugene, that's why he's going to write out the last 6 months of his contract, right? And say,
I get it.
Adios.
But at the end of the day, if that 10 million, and again, we've got to remember, we're talking about to you. So I don't know how much anyone on this panel is worth, but to us, everyday person, right? We're all everyday people with normal jobs and stuff, right? right? 10 million is an insane amount of money. Let's be fair, 6 months left, right? But for a football manager like Conte that will go and get another job, that would get sacked but lose a little bit of his millions, right? For me, you can see he doesn't want to be there. For me, he doesn't look animated. He doesn't look interested. His press conferences, the riddles coming out of his mouth. Kuva, I mean, the riddles at the moment of, he told us last week 4 things. We've got to buy young. They can't have big salaries. We'll strengthen if we can. But I'm happy with my squad and I'm happy here. And, 6 things. And the contract, it's not important at the moment. So if I've got a manager telling me all of these different things, why do I as a fan have to back this man who is clearly not 100% committed himself?
Well, that's what you do if you're ambitious, isn't it? You're an owner with ambition. You slam down on the table exactly what you want and what you expect from a manager and get them to sign the contract. And if they're not going to do it, you get rid of them.
Maybe in his contract, right? He's not allowed to leave.
Anyone, Eugene, it doesn't matter what walk of life you're in, right? He can leave. I
understand. But imagine we do not know what's written in his contract, right?
But literally, you can leave a contract. You can leave.
No, you can break the contract. But there will be compensation to be paid.
But you can't backdate money from someone if they leave a job. If I leave my job right now, like my company couldn't turn around to me and say,
if you sign a contract and say that if I leave my job, right, and you have to compensate, right, what are you going to do? You're stuck. Yep. So you will write up the contract, play along the show and the game that's there. And okay, Sava, we have to be patient. We have to wait for Conte to leave first. His contract ends. He doesn't sign. Then maybe he will come out and do a press conference about leaving. Or maybe there's an NDA. He can't even do that. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So we do not know. That's why.
Right? Let's take this back to source. Pete, I'll bring you in on this. I would lose even more respect if what we're saying is at the beginning when he signed a contract, it's written in his clause, right, that he cannot say the truth in press conferences, that he cannot leave the club, and he's not allowed to say anything honest, right? I would lose more respect for him than I have right now because I was told that the reason we were signing this manager is he won't take this nonsense. I was told that this was the guy that would convince Levy and Enoch. So if he's signed all of this contract with these clauses in that his lawyer would have gone through with a fine tooth comb, then he is not what I thought he was.
No, I mean, let's be honest. You can't sign it. There's no contract there. You can say you can't leave. Yeah, you do this. That's a slave. That ain't a contract. Yeah, so that's for one. All it means he won't get his remaining money. Let's be honest. If Conte left tomorrow, he's not going to lose 20 million euros or 20 million quid. He's going to lose whatever he's got left. Yeah, so he's ample time. That's why I think he will walk away at some point. As for the non-disclosure and all that, I believe the non-disclosure starts coming in when you're getting a severance package. And they're right, we're going to quick ways, but you're going to not say you're going to stay quiet or whatever. You can't say anything about the club for 2 years. Same as when you can't work for another club for a year and all that sort of stuff. That's part of a severance package. I just don't think Conte is what people think he is, where he's going to. He is going to say. I mean, we all thought he might have been, but he's not. Let's be honest. If he says, I'm not getting backed here, you can't do nothing. There's no mechanism for them doing anything to him for that. Just take him outside and give him a slap on the wrist and say, "Oh, that's not right," and all that. And he can turn around and say, "I don't give a shit because I'm out of here anyway." Do you know what I mean? It's different with Mourinho and Poch and all that because they were sacked, so they had a severance package, which then probably included these sort of clauses in where they can't say stuff to the media and all that because we've never had it where someone's come out and say what they want to the thing. But let's be honest, we've never had a manager that's finished their contract either, which is probably why. Yeah, so this could be the first. But
if this is all about money, and
he would have signed,
right? Well, if it's all about money, he would have re-signed. If it's all about money that he won't upset them and risk losing, look, he's not on 20 million. Let's be clear, right? He's on about seven, as far as I'm concerned, it's something like 17 million euros or something, right? So he'll be losing 8 million, whatever it is, which is still a lot of money. But if it's all about that money, right, then what does any of this mean anyway? What are we doing here? Because as I've said a million times, if I woke up tomorrow and I saw Antonio Conte walks and has said the club aren't aligned to his ambitions, I would put Conte as my favourite manager in the world for the next decade for actually being honest and speaking the truth.
Yeah, because he's done more for us than he ever would have done.
When you keep talking in riddles, when you tell people you're happy, right? It's the same thing. If I have a conversation with my wife and say, "You're all right," yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm all right. Okay, then 2 weeks later, don't say, well, 2 weeks ago when I said I was all right, actually what I meant was, but no. Don't keep telling me you're all right. Don't tell me you're happy with your squad, but then the fans say the squad is the reason why you can't do your job properly. There's a disconnect.
I don't believe that the owners would have been happy with him saying, the club only want to sign young players on low contracts. I don't believe they would have been happy with that.
Okay. Take this back. Right. When he first came in, right, when he said things like, our recruitment is bad, right? We are signing players on 60 million over pounds and we are loaning them out now. There is a very, very wrong. There's something fundamentally wrong with this club. He has really told us this in the beginning, right? Remember, when he first came in, he was very, very direct and honest with us, right? And after what happened in the Burnley game, he was completely cut off. And that's when you can see the 360 degrees of the Conte turn, right? It wasn't that same Conte that we knew, right? So that's the problem now. It's already written in the stars, Kuva. He's not going to sign. He's not going to renew his contract. The only thing is now, he's just going to write out the last 6 months that he has.
I agree.
Right.
The point of all this, Eugene, the point of all this then is all the fans that are saying, get behind Conte. If you want Conte out, you're shambolic, blah, blah, blah. If Conte is riding out his last 6 months, why do I sit here right now as a fan and go, I really want Conte to stay if he doesn't want to be here, mate?
It doesn't matter because this is the narrative built by the club, right? To divide the fan base. It doesn't matter whether you're Conte in or Conte out. It's, to tell the truth, right? I'll tell you all these fans in the chats and all us on the panel around. It's either you're Spurs in or Spurs out. Pick a choice. Seriously, right? It's nothing to do with Conte in, Conte out. If you're Spurs in, right, get Levy fucking out. Simple as that.
Do that. Yeah. How'd you do that? That's easier said than done. There's no mechanism for that.
No. Then that's why I said, don't. If you guys are season ticket holders, the protest must be done in the stadium. Remember, when you guys shouted Levy out in the stadium, that shook him. If you continue to do that, right, he will sell the club. Levy wants but you don't have enough people to do it because he's already divided fan base.
I completely disagree. Listen, someone could stand there every game and piss on his head from the seat above, and he will still stay. He will not be going anywhere. Yeah, until they get the offer they want for this club for money that's sufficient for them. They will not go anywhere. Conte's keeping quiet because he knows now he's in the twilight of his contract at Spurs. If he starts mouthing off, bigger clubs won't want to go near him because they're like, we don't want it. We don't want someone in who's going to open.
Right?
We want someone who's going to be quiet. Yeah. If he starts raffing off all this, that, and the other, he's not making himself attractive to the next club because now he's in a process of just seeing himself out and going, right,
the problem is, right, it's very simple. Someone offers them 5 billion, they want 7. Someone offers them 7 billion, they want 9. Someone offers them 9 billion, they want 11. So they're just playing the game again.
So this is, look, guys, I do need to wrap the show up. If I spend all of my Boxing Day not being with family, I will be in trouble. But guys, this is the thing for me. I've always been of the opinion I would do anything I can to help get ENIC and Levy out. The problem is what they have done and what the ENIC in people have done for so many years is allowed them to facilitate putting themselves on a pedestal where to get them out gets harder and harder and harder every
They
year
control the narrative.
because of the money they can make from this football club, right? At the end of the day, let's be really, really honest. They don't need to sell. If I put myself in their shoes, last 30 seconds, if I put myself in their shoes, I have no need to sell, right? Spurs could be 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th in the table, but the stadium alone will make us attractive to all the other sports, yeah? There's assets there. They've got the training ground. They've got all this. They don't need to sell. The only way they sell is if a majority of our fan base end up in some sort of protest. The majority of the stadium for 90 minutes chant ENIC out, right? It can't be a few people. This is my problem. It will never, ever change because too many people like infrastructure. They like, look where we were in the 90s. That's what they like. But guys, I love you all. Kuva, thank you so much as always. I will see you on the flip side. We can do some more shows over the next week. Christmas off. Eugene, thanks for popping in. And yeah, my bad. Persuasion, definitely an ENIC out. My point was, I think every Spurs YouTube channel should say how it really is rather than trying to get likes and clicks and subscribers. Pete, big yourself up. Thank you very much. Please subscribe to everyone. Happy Christmas to you all. And as always, ENIC and Levy out.
Wow.
Enjoy, lads.